Yesterday I went to go see the new live action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon. And guys, it was actually great. I'm not gonna lie, this is a good adaptation. So for this review, I'll be explaining into two parts. My positives of the film and then the negatives of it. Now before we talk about those two things, I just wanna go back a few years when they first announced it. When they first announced it, I was kinda skeptical and worried about it because Disney has been making some based off their 2D stuff and they're very hit or miss, you know. You got Aladdin, which I thought was really good, but then you also got stuff like the most recent Lilo and Stitch. People did not like it. They changed a lot from it. I don't blame them. Same thing for Snow White. They changed a lot of it. So with this being Universal's first go at a live action adaptation, I was very curious about how would they execute it. What would they do different to Disney? What would they do similar? But luckily, they did a really good job. So kicking into the positives, I want to say how faithful it is, and that's a good thing. I think compared to like how Disney adapts their stuff, it can be hit or miss. But for this one, very, very faithful. Very shot for shot, line for line. Like the very first 5 minutes of this film is completely the same, you could say. Just, live action. I think it's a good thing because this is a really good story. And that's the struggle to review it because it's so similar, and it's a good thing, that there's nothing much to add about it. So with that said, I'm just gonna focus on more of the live action stuff of this film. So let's talk about the actors. Now Mason Thames, I never heard of him before, never knew what he was a part of, but him as Hiccup was really, really good. He portrayed him in a way I wouldn't actually expect. When I first saw the trailer and I heard his voice, I was at first a bit disappointed because, Hiccup's voice was very unique, it's kind of like nerdy. But the more I thought about it and the more I heard the way he portrayed it, it really stuck with me, and I think it was like really good and fitting for live action. Same for Nico Parker, who plays Astrid. I feel like they did a really good job with her, and actually added a bit more depth to her character. And what I mean by that is that the tension between Hiccup and her in the movie is a lot more in depth and creates a lot more tension in the story. The next character I want to talk about is actually Stoic, because the person who plays him in live action is also the voice actor, Gerard Butler. And I feel like he's just perfect for it. Of course, he was a great voice actor for that original film, but when he played him in live action, it was just perfect. And that goes for the side characters like those in Dragon Training and Gobber. I feel like every single actor embodied and did their own thing in a good way with all these characters. Aside from these amazing actors and the characters they play, I felt like the CGI was actually like really, really good. With modern movies sometimes it can be hit and miss, like Thor Love and Thunder, for example. But it was amazing, like very, very detailed. I love what they did with Toothless, like 1-to-1 with the original. And then its sets were also really, really beautiful. I saw some behind the scenes of the movie before it came out, and it was just amazing. Like they did a really good job with their sets. Same for cinematography. Now diving into the negatives, I don't really have that many, very few. One I do want to point out is its pacing. Since it's so on point with the original, it matches its pacing, and in that film it was very, very fast. So some scenes every now and then in the movie feel very, very like fast, not rushed, just like pacing's very, very fast. Besides that, I think if you've seen the original, some of the jokes won't land for you. Not that they're not funny, it's just that if you've seen the original, you kind of expect them. But besides these negatives and nitpicks, I still think this film is amazing and great. I think you should watch it if you've seen the original or haven't. With all that said, out of 5 big booms, I'd give it 4 big booms.
Boom! 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 Boom!
Those are just my thoughts. Tell me what y'all think, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.